Schön, dass du eingeschaltet hast. Genau, passt zu der neuen Folge Let's Play Stanley Parable. Wir machen heute eine neue Story.
Psst, Stanley, come over here.
Ja, ich gehe hier.
In the vent. I want to show you something.
Ja. Ich komme. Da sind wir nämlich in der letzten Folge nicht reingegangen. Weiß nicht, ob ich das schon gesehen habe, gesagt habe. Falls ihr die anderen Folgen noch nicht gesehen habt, geht mal jetzt jetzt an ihr auf.
Satisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be. Well, it got me thinking
Dort habe ich die
about
Playlist
the past
hinzugefügt.
and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look. I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Oh, das ist ein Ende, was wir, glaube ich, in einer der Folgen schon gemacht haben hier. Ich weiß nicht mal, welche Folge das war. Auf jeden Fall oben rechts ist ein I. Da habe ich die Playlist ganz oben hinzugefügt. Das sind, glaube ich, original Zeitungsartikel. Ihr Work in Progress, das sind, glaube ich, die Logos. Glaube ich auch wieder wie so ein Museum hier. Das sind Steam-Archiv-Mensch. Das ist die Demo-Version von... Die Demo, okay. ...2013 wurde es released. Okay. Ist das Gesicht von einem Entwickler oder von Stanley? Ah, nee. Oh, das ist einfach nur eine Auszeichnung. Das ist, glaube ich, das Spiel, was man im Laden kaufen konnte damals, weil wer kauft sich heute noch ein Spiel im Laden? Das sind Auszeichnungen, glaube ich, was das Spiel bekommen hat. Bilder, genau, das kennen wir ja alles eigentlich auch schon. Wieder wie so ein Museum hier. Und Auszeichnungen, halt so Urkunden. What the...
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Okay. Das ist das Hauptmenü. Nein, ich wollte eigentlich runter.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone. to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Okay, sind das echte Reviews, die er mir da vorliest?
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Wir schauen jetzt uns Steam-Reviews an. Wir schauen uns Steam-Reviews an. Sind das echt Originale? Verarscht der Entwickler seine Community gerade? Wow. Geil. Das gefällt mir.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Der verarscht, glaube ich, die negativen Steam-Reviews, kann es sein. Ich glaube, dass er... Geil. Ich find es so geil, wenn das Spieleentwickler machen, so eine humorvolle Art. Noch mal eine Steam-Review, kann ich aber nicht lesen. Oh, da ist noch eine negative.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did, but maybe it wasn't. Oh dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Der verarscht negative Steam-Kommentare. Ist das bescheuert? Ich finde das gerade so geil. Ich glaube, das sage ich zum 100. Mal jetzt schon in der Folge. Noch eine negative Steam-Review. Ui, toll, jetzt bin ich gespannt.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Skip button.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. the story, and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245, that the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say, the story, and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah 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 blah.
Der wiederholt sich.
We've eaten too much and it can't be just
Okay, ich fasse, während der sich jetzt wiederholt, fasse ich mal einfach mal nur die Review hier zusammen. Was die Steam-Reviews waren halt negativ, so, da wurde gesagt, ja, Stanley ist rechthaberisch und ein Skip-Button wurde gewünscht. Und jetzt sagt der Entwickler quasi so, hier habt ihr einen Skip-Button. Das Spiel ist für die Community und wir haben das jetzt eingebaut. Die haben jetzt benutzt.
You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are, or were, or will be at the time of having made said choice. That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already made, you bring that choice into being, then by making no choice and saying nothing, are you not simply erecting in the sanctuary of time a monument to every person you've ever been, making every choice to which you've ever given your Greek gift of mortal and yet timeless thought? Or rather, do all of the choices you've ever made, in fact, make you more not this kind of person, and in fact do the very opposite? You see, it could in fact be both of these things at once. That you are both making choices and not making choices, and that they are both affecting you and not affecting you at the same time by virtue of the fact that you both are and are not making them. Okay, at first I was leaning towards manifesto, but now I'm going to circle around and slap the treatise label on this one. I think it has much more of a treatise vibe to it. But wouldn't you say that manifesto just has a much grander sort of tone? It has a mouthfeel that is rich with ambition and history. Ambitious history, if you will. Ah. See, now you've gotten me going back to manifesto. Heavens, at this rate, we're going to be here all day. Okay, look, I have a method for exactly this sort of situation.
Der labert mir zu viel.
Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof. Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's...
Hätte ich das auch warten
really
können?
Only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been Stanley! Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer.
Der will, dass wir zuhören.
Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all...
Der will nicht, dass wir drücken, weil er führt uns Selbstgespräch und hat keinen zum Reden.
Oh, hello, it's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about...
Ich finde das so geil. Hallo? Der Erzähler ist weg. ist weg. Die Uhr ist runtergefallen.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth.
Der labert mich einfach nur voll. Ist er wieder weg?
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
Das hören wir uns jetzt eine halbe Stunde an.
The end is never the end, 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 is never.
Das ist so bescheuert. Huch! Wie lange habe ich ihn jetzt geskippt? Wie lange stehen wir hier schon? Huch! Ja, es kommt davon, wenn hier Spieler einen Skip-Button wollen. Ich finde das halt so witzig, wie der Entwickler das einfach verarscht. Komm, skippen! Nein, mein Skip-Button ist umgefallen. Kann nicht mehr drücken. Was ist mit der Welt passiert? Wir skippen! Skip-Button, kann ich den nicht mitnehmen? Wo ist mein Erzähler? Ich fühle mich ohne Erzähler nicht wohl. Huch! Sind wir jetzt wieder...
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of time.
Der sagt was anderes und da... Der Erzähler erzählt auf jeden Fall was anderes. New Content. So was, wir gehen da rein.
Oh good, you noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Ich weiß nicht, wenn ich gerade ausgegangen wäre, ob da was anderes passiert wäre oder ob dasselbe passiert wäre. Ich meine, aber es wäre dasselbe passiert.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra-deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra-deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever The Stanley Parable 2.
Ui. What?
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
Aha.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Das ist geil. Gut. Also was gut ist für Spiele. Portal 2. Oh ja. Half-Life 2. Habe ich nie gespielt. Batman Arkham Asylum 2 City. Kenne ich nicht. Driving Original Sins 2. Okay. Doomed 2. Auch ein gutes Spiel. Habe ich nie gespielt, aber kenne ich. Aladdin 2. Okay. Return of the... Ja. Dunkle Seelen 2, also Dark Soul 2, okay. Ah. New Content, New Features. Bus, New Content. Ja, genau.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Hear your name in the game, okay.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Zu groß, zu klein. Weckt. Ui, ich darf's ausprobieren.
Jim. Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of
Jim.
course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you roleplay as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just
Okay, ich
play
bin
along.
jetzt Jim.
I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and... Jim. Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim. Jim. All right, fine, whatever. It's just a meaningless button that says
Will ich
Jim.
das
Are you
alles
happy
drücken?
now? Get out of here. I'm done with this button. Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on? Jim. See, if you'd only played along, that would have been your name the button says, but no. Instead, I can't even think about it. I'm taking the Jim button away.
Nein!
Jim.
Nein!
Jim.
Nein. Aber ich habe doch ein paar Mal drauf drücken können. Wie schön. Da kann ich nicht drücken, okay. Kommt wirklich ein zweiter Teil raus,
Maybe
oder ist es
I'll only
nur...
let people named Jim play the Stanley Parable too. They would appreciate what I've created here.
Oder es ist einfach nur ein Scherz, dass ein zweiter Teil kommen wird. Freie, neue, einfache Achievements. Das ist geil. Das machen wir jetzt. Und es funktioniert, wurde mir gesagt.
Now,
Okay.
here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you... Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Was wäre so schön gewesen, wenn ich alle Achievements bekommen habe. Oder hätte. Aber naja. Wie ist kaputt und der Entwickler verspricht... Also der Erzähler verspricht uns, dass das im zweiten Teil funktionieren wird. Interessant.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
Aha. Ist hier?
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
Hui! Ich fall jetzt ewig runter, okay.
See, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top.
Wisst ihr was, ich drück mal
Do
nicht.
it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things. Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole?
Das ist nicht unendlich.
It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
Okay, ich drück mal nicht. Bin gespannt, ob der was sagt. Warte mal so 10 Sekunden. Scheint aber nicht, dass da noch was passiert. Okay.
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
Kann ich nochmal springen?
Oh, for heaven. You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there, goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time? I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before.
Ja.
Admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. I really do have so much more to show you and to talk about. And I've had enough. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow. Okay.
Es wird immer...
Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability in marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top and we'll see if it gets any shorter.
Okay, das Loch hier, das wird immer... Das ist das Gegenteil von immer tiefer werden. Immer weniger tiefer? Keine Ahnung, wie man das nennt. Aber, okay.
Well, there it is. The shame of my lie has come to haunt. How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh,
Ich mag
who am I
Löcher.
to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on.
Ich kann nicht drücken.
Is the, teleport
nicht.
button not working?
Nein, ich drücke.
You sure? Well,
Ja.
I mean, I really don't have an explanation. Still nothing? Well, I suppose
Es geht
there
nicht.
is one thing I can do to fix this.
Ja,
I'm
bitte.
out. Goodbye, Stanley. You
Was?
couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else.
Nein, lass mich nicht allein.
Take care, Stanley. I
Nein.
hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity together.
Ja, und jetzt? Hallo? Sprecher, komm zurück. Kuckuck. Kann ich springen? Das geht runter. Da liegen einfach Zigaretten. Und jetzt? Bringt es mich jetzt irgendwo hin oder wie darf ich das verstehen? Nein! Das ist quasi so ein Trailer vom Loch. Ändere deine Wahrnehmung mit G. Geil! Oh, ja. Ist das ne gute Musik? Das ist eine gute Musik. Ändere deine Wahrnehmung. Ändere deine Realität.
My head's
Ändere dich selbst. Ja. Die Hundewelpen. Das lasse ich jetzt einfach. Die gefallen mir. Ja.
Stanley? 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 Oh good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodlepip.
Schlafen jetzt wieder ein? Was, das war anscheinend nur ein Traum. Ich glaube ja, die Musik ist, wie ich verspreche, auf jeden Fall fand ich das so dämlich. Ich will es nochmal machen, ich fand das so witzig.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Okay, ich würde sagen, wir probieren die neuen Features in der nächsten Folge weiter aus. Falls euch die Folge gefallen hat, könnt ihr mir gerne ein Like und ein Abo da lassen. Und dann sehen wir uns beim nächsten Mal, wenn es heißt Let's Play Stanley's Parable. Bis dahin, ciao, ciao.